there is something just a little bit different when you talk about Live Aid, I think.
There was something in the air. There was an absolute, genuine desire by not just the British people, but people around the world to do something. Everybody was motivated to do something. They wanted to contribute money, time, effort, whatever it was. And you cannot manufacture that kind of rose-tinted feel.
Virgin Radio.
All right, we're backstage at the Isle of Wight Festival, and Midge Ure is here. It is good to see you, as always.
Well, thank you.
I have been reliably informed that your set, and I'm going to quote this now, was going off.
Is that good or bad in youth speak?
No. That's good. That's good.
Oh, I'm pleased to hear it. Right.
So you've had a busy summer. I mean, you're always touring, and you're out in America sometimes. You're over here in Europe or doing UK shows. How has touring changed for you? We've spoken in the past about old Ultravox sets and the sort of the warm-ups or the sound checks taking 5 hours because of the way that you used to make music. How has that changed for you?
Yeah, well, it's not 5 hours anymore, I'm glad to say. It was 5 hours because, I think these days, I'm watching a lot of the bands that have been on here, there's an awful lot of, backing tracks and whatever going on, which is perfectly acceptable, it's fine. But back in the day, that was seen as obscene. You would never do that. If you couldn't do it live, you didn't do it. So in order for us to play live, we were using technology, pre-MIDI, which is the system that lets a drum machine talk to a synthesizer, and they all lock together. That wasn't invented. So we were going out with these very delicate bits of studio equipment and trying to make them work every night, trying to get this to happen. So 5-hour sound checks don't exist anymore. What we just did today and what we've been doing for the last year or so, there is no noise coming off stage. There's no amplifiers on stage. So it's electronic drums, it's synthesizers, it's even the guitar goes through a processor. There's no amplifier there. So you can achieve as close to hi-fi quality sound as you could possibly get. I
mean, it's incredible that compare what the power of your phone now to, did you ever Fairlight back in the day?
I didn't have a Fairlight. I almost bought one. And they were the price of a small house.
Yeah, and the size of one.
But didn't last as long. So I'm glad I didn't.
Just explain actually to our younger
Fairlight,
listeners.
Fairlight was the first of the kind of computer instruments where you could sample a sound, record a sound. You could record somebody going, or you could record whatever, a spring going off, and then you could play it back on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Now, your phone can do that. Everything can do that now. But back then, you could sample for a whole 2 seconds. And this synthesizer cost £28,000. Then, right? Wow. That's a huge amount of money. That's a massive investment. I think Peter Gabriel had one and Kate Bush had one. Maybe that's it.
That's probably they were the people who could afford it.
Yeah.
Who could afford it. We were speaking to Sting on Friday night, and he was saying how he went round to your house back in the day, 40 years ago, to do the demo track to Band Aid. We've spoken at length about Band Aid, and of course we're now just a few weeks away from Live Aid, which was a remarkable day, an incredible day, unlike I think a day we'll ever see again, really, in music. How much of those memories of that day are forever etched in your mind?
Oh, there are parts of it that have gone, that have faded into the distance. I can remember sections of it. Like anything, you don't know it's a seismic change when you're standing in it. It's not until afterwards you realise that, as you quite rightly say, it's a day that we might never ever see again, the likes of. The way people consume music now is completely changed.
And so fragmented.
It's very fragmented, and it doesn't seem to wield the same power it used to. Back in the 80s, Live Aid was, 86? 85, thank you very much.
And I wasn't even there.
And so music was the be-all and end-all. We didn't have, smartphones. We didn't have things to entertain us or keep us distracted or whatever. Music was everything. And very soon after that, it all changed. Free music, Napster, file sharing, all of that. So The key parts I remember are the pretty stupid bits. You know, I remember walking on stage, petrified, because we didn't do our 5-hour sound check. Petrified that nothing would work. We chose the 4 songs that we could perform with the least equipment, so to try and avoid that. I remember Harvey Goldsmith, the promoter, you know, pulling his hair out backstage because they'd lost the link between the stage and one of the astronauts flying overhead in a shuttle or a space station or whatever. It was just too big. It was too much to take on board. The whole thing felt a bit like I was living someone else's dream. And it never really kicked home until much, much later. Much later.
What I find amazing about it is that it could have so easily been a disaster as well. So much of it was just on a sort of knife's edge, really.
It was. I mean, you know, at the time, I'm going to get the numbers wrong here. I think at Live Aid we used something like 12 or 14 satellites. They'd never been used. That many had never been used to do live feeds. You know, the Olympics that year used 2 satellites. We had 12 or 14. So anything could have gone wrong. Everything could have gone wrong. And as it was, the only thing that really went wrong was Paul McCartney's mic going down.
Yeah.
But that turned into a magic moment because the audience the crowd just sang the song. And you couldn't plan something like that. It was just wonderful.
I just find it amazing that we're talking about a musical event of 40 years ago and we're still talking about it, and we probably will talk about it forever because those moments just aren't going to... I mean, these moments at festivals like this are great. You've had an amazing show. We've had a wonderful weekend, but there is something just a little bit different when you talk about Live Aid, I think.
There was something in the air. There was an absolute, genuine desire by not just the British people, but people around the world to do something. Everybody was motivated to do something. They wanted to contribute money, time, effort, whatever it was. And you cannot manufacture that kind of rose-tinted feel. You know, that has to come from the heart. That has to come from the genuine desire to want to not see those images on your television, to know that that is not happening on the planet. And you could try and put another Live Aid on tomorrow. You could try and do something like that every month, every year, every week, whatever it happens to be. But would you capture the same passion that had? I'm not sure you would.
Listen, it's always a pleasure to sit down and talk to you. We could talk about music for forever. I'm so pleased you had a wonderful set. Thank you for your time and always good to see you.
That's great. Thanks.
Virgin Radio.